Hello friends, this is Vahid from VRF Education and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about widgets in Streamlit. In previous session, we've talked about Streamlit and how it's going to help us to create good look and feel web UI for our applications, Python application. And then we learned how to install it and run a project using Streamlit, and then create some simple pages just containing the output of some objects or variables in our application. And if you remember from the first session, we've talked about a couple of core features in Streamlit. Widgets is one of those features. There's a bunch of standard widgets in Streamlit that are going to help us to render some standard output for our end users. Some widgets or controls that all users around the world are familiar with and they know how to interact with them. Streamlit support a couple of different widgets, and in this session and 3 or 4 next sessions, we've talked about these widgets. Today we're going to start with buttons and also checkbox. They are 2 most common widgets, and in the next session we talked about text input and other widgets. So let's get into VS Code and see how we can add a button to a form and how to customize it. So let's see how we can add a bunch of widgets to our web UI. In previous session, we've learned how to start a local server for Streamlit and how to enable auto rerun or hot reload for our Streamlit application. In order to add all of the widgets, we need to call a method inside the Streamlit library. For example, I want to start with button. Button is the most useful widget in web UI, and most of the time our interaction to the user started with clicking on a button. So to start, we can just say st.button. This is method, and it's going to add a button on the form for us. Let me bring the signature for this method here. This is the signature for button. First of all, you need to provide a label. The label is the caption or the text of the button. So I'm going to say click me, and if I save the file, it says what do you want to do. I'm going to say always run. So it just add a button name click me for me, and if I clicked on this one, nothing happened. So whenever you clicked on a button, it's gonna return the new state. By default, the state is false because I'm not because the button is not clicked yet. But when we click the button, we can just print the isPress to see if it's printed or not. First of all, if I save the application, you can see it started from top to bottom and all these line of codes printed. And here, because we did not click the button, the isPress is equal to false, and you can see false is here. Now, if I click on click me, what's happened? You can see is true because isPress is now set to true. So the print statement prints the true to the console. If you have some experience with front-end development with libraries such as React, you know that in there we have some states for our components. And when the state changed, the component will be re-rendered. But here, it looks like the way that we did in React, but it's completely different. When the state of a widget changed, the code runs from top to bottom once more. What does it mean? I'm going to add a static print here before the button print start. This is a text. So as you can see, I have a start here. After that, we put the button in the output, and then we have false because the button is not pressed yet. And if I click me, if I press click me, you can see again we have a start. The code start from the top of the page and move toward the down. And this time isPress or the state of the button is true. So this is the way that I told you in previous session. We need to be careful about the life cycle of the page in Streamlit. And another thing, let me put another button. I'm gonna name this one click me 1, click me 2. Is pressed 1 and is pressed 2. So let's also is pressed 1, 2, and add a label to the here button. Not 1. I'm going to change 1 to 2. This one to 2. Now if I something pressed. So now if I save the code, it reload the file, and you can see button 1 false, button 2 false, and also we have a start here. If I press click me 1, you can see we have a start. This time is pressed 1 is set to true, but the second one is false because we did not collect it. What if I click me 2? What's happened? As you can see, we have a start. This time is pressed is false. Is pressed 1 is false because it reloads the page. So whenever a widget changes the state, the value of the variables and stuff like that all completely reinitialized. Streamlit, don't worry, Streamlit provide another way to handle this situation, and that's it's a session states. So we will talk about it in more details in upcoming sessions. But right now, I need you to know that whenever a state of a widget change, the page reloads completely from top to bottom. So this is the first function of button. I'm going to comment these and just add another button here. Click me, and here you can add some logic based on is pressed. If it's pressed, then I need you to print something. Print hello, and here I'm going to say bye. Now when we reload the page, nothing happened. Why? Because I just commented start. So here we just have a start, and because it's pressed is false, bye is not getting printed to the output. If I press click me again, we have a start and bye. So we get this state for our messaging, for our making decisions. Another thing, you need to provide a unique name for your buttons. If you have just one button on the form or button with different labels, it's not a problem, because if you don't provide key, the label is set as the key for that widget. But it's recommended to provide key most of the time, because we may mistakenly add 2 widgets with same name. Okay, so be careful about the key, and you can just provide something like this: key equal to btn, for example, click me, something like this, or you can do it in Pythonic way using underscore. It's not a big deal, and this name will be used inside the session state. Then in upcoming session, when we talk about session states, you will see this item there and realize the functionality of this property or this parameter. The next one is help. What does help is? Help is an information about the button or the action that you can get when you click on that button. It's a tooltip. So this is help. This is help for button. That's it. If I save it and you hover mouse over the button, if your browser or your output is not in mobile state, I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Now you can see this is help for button. That specific text gets here as a tooltip, so to inform user some information about the button. So if you just shrink your page and make it in mobile size, I don't know why the tooltip is not showing on the phone. The next one is onClick. It's a callback function. When the button click, what do you want to do? I'm gonna say, okay, call this greet method or function. We don't have it. I'm gonna define it, greet, and inside greet, I'm just wanna print this is callback function. That's it. And here you don't need to check is pressed anymore. When you click the button, greet function will be run automatically. So if I press click button, you can see this callback function and start once more, because page re-rendered. Okay, but before rendering, we call this one. Before page gets updated, we call the function. You can also pass some parameters, some positional argument, and also keyword arguments to the function. For example, I'm going to pass my name, and here I'm going to print the provided name inside the output. So you can pass the argument using args parameter, and you need to pass a tuple. So I'm going to print my name and put a comma here to convert it to a tuple. So if I save it, if I click this button, it says this callback function, and it's the name of main. So you can provide as many as positional positional argument that you want. Let's comment this one out also. You can also add a couple of not positional argument, keyword arguments. So I'm gonna say name and age, and this time instead of passing arg, I'm gonna use kw args, and it's receive a dictionary. I'm gonna say name is equal to Wahid and age is 13, for example. So if I save it and click run, I forgot to add age here. And if I press click me once more, you can see both parameters are passed to the function successfully. And you can also use a combination of args and kw args. For example, I want to pass name as arg, so I'm going to say my name is this time Mina, and comma. Don't forget to add this comma here, and I'm going to remove name here from the kw args. So if I save and click run, you can see this time Mina passed as positional arguments, and for the age we used this key value per option. Okay, this is kw args, and the next parameter is type. You can use different types, secondary and primary. So let's see what we have here. Secondary, no, I'm sorry, type equal to, by default it's a secondary. I'm going to use primary. So if you change it, this is the primary type button, a button with red background and white color. So you can click on this one, and also you can duplicate it, and this time it says secondary. Oops. Well, oh, I forgot about the name. I'm going to change there, and between click me 1 and 2, because it wants to add some key value states, and the key is duplicate here. So this is the secondary button. As you can see, this is the default one, and I think it's more stylish than this one. And also, if you press Control and click each of these arguments, you get into that button. You can see all the items here, and you can also use this one as the type. And here there's a very good help for those items. Primary, the button background is the app's primary color for additional emphasis. The second, the default, the button background coordinates with the app's background color with normal emphasis. And third, the button is plain text without a border or background. That's it. Let's also check this one. I'm gonna add third button. Click me 3 and territory. So you can see this is a button without any borders and things like that. So you can make use of each one that it's good for you, for your app or for your design. I'm gonna remove this one. And the last one, what is the last one? I think it's disabled. It's by default false. So you can make a button disabled based on some criteria. For example, I'm going to say disabled. Disabled equal to true. For the second one, I make it disabled. So you can see the mouse pointer also changed to a stop sign. So you cannot click on that one, but this one is clickable. And you can add this disabled based on some criteria or some situations. I'm going to talk about the next widget and combine it with this is pressed. I'm going to add is checked, a checkbox, a checkbox on the form, and just provide the label disable button. So as you can see, I add a checkbox. It's very cool, and you can check it or uncheck it, select or unselect it. And this time, instead of specify this item explicitly, I'm going to use is checked. If the checkbox checked, then the button will be disabled. So the button is now enabled right now. If I just check the checkbox, you can see it gets disabled. So you can enable or disable items on the page based on some criteria or some other things that you need to pay attention to. Again, let's check, or let's talk about checkbox. Yeah, we have a couple of other options, as you can see. Oops. Let's see the parameter here. I'm going to use key and chkop disable a unique name. And if I get into the function definition, you can see we have label, the value, it's the default value, we can change it, a key for our session state. Help is again a tooltip. Unchange is the method. It's just like onClick, but it will be fired or triggered on a state change of the checkbox when you checked it or unchecked it. Args and KWRs are the same as the onClick. This time they send for unchange method. Disabled and visibility. You can use different visibility: visible, hidden, and collapse. And yeah, these are the values that you can use, and also these are some good help about those items here. So let's play a little bit with this one. First of all, I'm going to use value equals to true. I'm going to render or put the checkbox to the output by default with check the state. If I saved it, you can see it saved, and the state will be returned to is checked, it's true, and disable the button because we just connect these two together. So this is the way that it works. Then I'm going to add help. Help is somehow different from the button. This is a checkbox. You can see a very small question mark added here, and if you hover mouse over it, the tooltip that you provide or the help parameter will be shown inside the box above the widget. So this is somehow different, and you can tell a couple some information about the functionality of this widget to the user. And also we have label visibility. I'm going to change it to hidden. This time you don't have this label and this help. You just have this square shape to tick or check or uncheck it. Okay. Sometimes maybe you need to use this way to show some checkbox on your phone. And also let's do something inside the unchange callback function. I'm going to say print or handle check change. Let's also def create a function. You can also pass arguments and also KWX here. I don't want to play with them. I'm just going to print checkbox state changed. So whenever you change the state of the checkbox, this function will be triggered. As you can see, checkbox change. And also be aware that the page will be reloaded. If I just uncomment this line, when I check and uncheck this, the checkbox, you can see a star will be printed on each state changing. It means that after calling this function, whole page will be rendered. So I think this is enough for this session, and in upcoming sessions we will check more widgets. I hope you enjoyed the content of this session, and till next session, goodbye.